Hey guys, Dark Humility here. You can always catch us at twitch.tv/Dark Humility for 6 to 7 days a week of Diablo 2 action. We are back with yet another Season 7 closed beta, mini guide, and demo. Fireclaw's Druid in the third beta patch towards the end of the closed beta. The Fire Druid finally feels like a beast. As a matter of fact, as you might remember, typically that firestorm that emanates from the fire claws was never very effective or interesting, but they have massively increased the build by completely reworking it in the latest stages of the Season 7 beta. You guys might be interested in this because it definitely pushes the S tier, high A tier zone, and it's very, very strong compared to its previous iterations, which honestly felt pretty lackluster in comparison. Alright, so let's go over him real quick. You're going to want enough strength to wear your gear. Dex, you can put in additional dex really to, most of the time you're going to use two-handed weapons like Hellrack crossbow or Earth Shifter and things like that. So typically, you're not getting enough dex to get maximum chance to block. You're getting enough dex to get attack rating. Make sure you can actually hit. Of course, you do have conviction, so you don't need a ton of attack ratings, so I'm probably overstacked here, but that's okay. And then you just put the rest of your points into vitality, and then get as much res as you possibly can. Max res is nice. Our res is okay. You're going to want a very fast weapon. So weapon is your only source of attack speed on a shape-shifting build still on Project Diablo 2. You also play D2R. This is confusing because they made the attack speed influential everywhere on it, but that's not how it works. They kept the shape-shifting builds unique on PD2, so this is still attack speed. It's pretty cool. Hitting that FHR is nice. 42 is pretty good. You can get up to 86 as well. And having at least a source of mana and life leech is good, but you also have Feral Rage for the life leech, so it's solid stuff. Crushing Blow does also splash, so having some CB as well is just in general pretty nice on this particular build. You can even put on Gore Riders to get more CB as well, so that's kind of nice. But anyway, not super important. It's mostly your fire percent damage, your negative enemy fire res, and your plus skills. Particularly, not just your shape-shifting skills, but also your elemental skills. That's really going to impact the amount of damage you do on a Fireclaw Druid. It's kind of a weird cross tree build. It's kind of strange. Most builds kind of fit neatly within one of the skill trees. This one doesn't. Its damage is kind of dispersed over both the shape-shifting and the elemental skill trees. So, very interesting stuff there. Okay. So let's talk about the skills though. So skills, the new Fire Claws only requires Molten Boulder and Armageddon. But if you want to do maximum damage on a Fire Claws Druid, you're also going to want the other synergy for Armageddon so that Armageddon hits incredibly hard. This is also going to help provide you with additional protection. Okay, and then of course, if you're going my particular route where you use Earth Shifter, you're also going to want the synergies for Fissure, so you're going to max out Firestorm, so that 28 Fissure does a ton of damage in addition when you proc it. If you're not doing that, let's say you're doing like Phoenix or something, maybe Phoenix and Ghost Flame, which is a possible build on this, because it's percent fire damage and negative enemy res. It's also a lot of sustain on Ghost Flame and Phoenix, but you do attack a lot slower, so keep that in mind that proccing the Firestorm more often is going to do more damage, but there are other approaches. You can also go something like Azarath, Phoenix, and get a lot of attack speed by putting Shales in that as well. So plenty of approaches, but if you're going this kind of proc, somewhat focused approach, you're going to want that Fissure. Very powerful. It's 25%. Fissure is no joke. So if you get both of the synergies for Fissure, that proc is going to hurt. The fire skill damage on the items as well is going to contribute to that, so that's very good. Obviously, the Armageddon is a very large source of your damage. Maxed Armageddon, you can see, does an insane amount of damage. You can get the Armageddon higher, too, if you have even more fire large charms. I kind of went with a balance, though, so I could get more Fire Claw damage, particularly for the Fire Claw AoE, which is way bigger now. So the AoE is bigger. There's more missiles. It does more damage. Everything about the Fireclaw AoE is so much more responsive, and there's less required synergies. And one of the synergies they took off was Lycanthropy. And Lycanthropy didn't really help your damage, so it kind of sucked that you had to max it. Now you can just put 1 point into it, and you're still looking pretty here. 1 point Pharaoh Rage, of course, is always nice for the movement speed and the lifesteal, so you're going to definitely want to charge that up and run around and attack with that. Besides that, that's pretty good, and then you can get either Oak Sage or Heart of the Wolverine, and you'll be set to go. You can also get some summons if you want, but they're probably just going to die most of the time. So, pretty simple build. Also going to want on your Mercenary to, if you're lacking attack rating, you can go Blessed Aim. If you want a more defensive approach, you can go Defiance. I do find the most effective thing on this build, though, is probably to just use an Act 2 Mercenary with Infinity. And then you can go Might as well to help your Biz damage a bit. Oddly enough, you can also use an Act 4 Mercenary with an Infinity Staff, and that casts Amplify damage if you want more physical damage, which is really good for dealing with heavily fire-immune maps. So that's definitely a very good alternative approach. Keep in mind, though, that Mercenary will likely die a lot, though, so that's usually a problem, unless he has protection. That's still the case even after he got buffed the last time here in this most recent beta patch. Of course, you also have Enchant Fire in here for the Lava Gout to give you more AR, and of course DR, just a lot of survivability. Flickering Flame is good because that Resist Fire Aura actually does add to your fire damage, so that's kind of nice. You will benefit from that a bit. So having all these damage auras is nice. Some extra fire damage, the negative enemy fire res, and of course some more physical damage, because why not? You do have a pretty decently strong weapon. It helps to clear fire immunes. Alright, gear. You're going to want Earth Shifter with attack speed. Once again, you really need that attack speed, otherwise you won't be attacking very fast and you won't be doing that much damage. I like this weapon because the proc is insane, and it really works well with Fireclaw, because you have to proc it on striking, right? Striking means you gotta do a physical attack. Fireclaw will count, and Fissure does a lot of damage, and it has synergies for Fissure already built into it, so it's a very strong weapon for this build. The Volcano on casting is also interesting as well. Oddly enough, if you cast Armageddon over and over, you can actually get some volcanoes as well, so if you're feeling like you're ever lacking AoE, you can also boost the number of volcanoes out there just by spam casting Armageddon, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, you can do that. Raven lures a lot of negative enemy fire res. It's going to boost the power of your Armageddon directly, and it gives you a lot of all res. And as cannot be frozen, you can also use Kira's or something as well. Kira's would be very strong. I like the boost to the Armageddon this provides, though, so that's very nice. Mara's res plus skills. Definitely need res. This one's life, flat DR, skills, and negative fire res and fire damage with jewels. All those facets, very good. Hellmouth, you really can't beat Hellmouth for this particular approach. The Molten Boulder will also get these synergies as well. So proccing that sometimes will add to your damage. On top of that, you get the negative enemy fire res. Then of course you're going to want damage, leech if you're lacking it, whatever. Keep in mind you can always get more corruptions. You can't get corruptions on the closed beta. You can't get corruptions on beta period because they don't want you wasting your time trying to get those. But as you can see, even without them, it can be very strong here, pretty much towards our max power. There's always more stats you can get, like life per kill or additional life leech, if you're lacking them though. DR in your corruptions. Of course, DR is good there. Honestly, there's no fire skill belt except for a rack, but you don't have any other damage reduction, and you are going into melee range, so that's kind of nice. Then we're going to have a Druid Torch and Annie. So fire skill damage and shape-shifting GCs. That's what I recommend. The fire skill damage will always be elemental GCs for Armageddon, and they'll help out every source of your damage. But the shape-shifting GCs are more effective at increasing your Fireclaw damage in particular, up until a certain amount. So you can use these as well, and those will also make your werewolf form a bit stronger as well, and will also add to the power of Feral Rage. So it's not a terrible idea to actually put on some of those in addition. Like I said, it's a very hybridized build, and there's like multiple sources of damage. Anyway, that's enough talking. Let's see if we can get cracking. I think it does, Dragoon. They're just like called something different. I could be wrong though. You know, just don't call me out on it. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go crack some heads with this. Let's do it. Go charge up your Feral Rage. Notice we're already killing things with that Fissure proc, and I don't have to do anything but attack. And look at the Fire Claws actually doing damage. Look at that, it's melting. Cows are melting in front of us, and I wasn't even using Armageddon yet. So once you start using Armageddon, see the damage gets kind of nuts. So your damage is pretty high here. Honestly, feels like a very strong build now. And it actually feels worth to actually use the Fire Claw skill. Before you could actually use Fury to proc these and it would be better than Fire Claws, that's how bad it was. So yeah, that's pretty nice. You can see the DPS meter there is getting pretty high. Yeah, that's one of the problems here. Sometimes Phoenix would be nice, but we got good life leech though. Remember, you can cast some Armageddon and get some volcanoes if you want. That's kind of a fun way to do it. It's usually just faster just to pound monsters though. Fire Claw actually looks like it's a bit more impactful now. That was a fire immune. Do a lot of physical and fire damage. Armageddon is also hybridized. So there you have it, and wow. Some damage. Very strong, very strong. But you might be wondering, sure, it can shred bosses, it can crush the mobs, but how well is it actually, how good is it at actually doing some of these other tasks as well, though?
Good day.
Check it out. Can you do declone with this? I actually think it's possible. I might even add it as a declone skill in the tier list. It looks like a pretty decent one. I mean, why not? However, keep in mind you're not hitting nearly as hard as you would be with Fury, so... But it does have more AoE, which might be good against the skeletons. And it actually does some serious damage, so... I actually am thinking it'd be pretty good, man. Thank you, Mortologist, man, for the kind words. You are a beast. As a matter of fact, this might be a pretty good test here. Let's see. I don't know about this map. This map can be hard to solo sometimes. It's like better in a group, in my opinion. Some of these maps are like practically made for groups, but you know, you can do it. My aura, no. Look how much damage that is, though. Very strong. The Decrepify kind of sucks, though. Let's actually try him in a different map. I think the Merc's gonna get cranked in here. Well, I also didn't cast Armageddon. That was part of the problem. Sometimes I forget to cast certain skills. It does happen.
How may I be of help?
Not a great map, no, because there's a lot of slowdowns in there. Doesn't really matter anyway, though. This is a pretty tough map, too, but I think it might be a better map for this particular build. Obviously, you can be way more defensive than this. I wouldn't mind the survivability. I always try to go max damage when I do these things. You can always get more survivability. On hardcore, that's obviously a pretty central concern. So, yeah. There we go. Sure, charge up that Feral Rage. It's pretty darn good, if you ask me. Oh yeah. Very strong build, very strong build. I know, man. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, any build could farm a tier 1 or tier 2 with pretty good gear. Tier 3s are like good measures of like how strong a build can potentially be. Ah yes, getting pin cushioned. That's always fun. This is a very hard map, so like pushing through this map is pretty impressive. Very strong build, very strong build. Before wasn't able to do anything, so that's kind of impressive. This is really good. The increased AoE is actually worth it now, and like, I would actually probably prefer to build this over a, I don't know about you guys, but I might prefer to build this over a Fury Druid for mapping. I mean, you could do either one. need a lot of damage reduction not to get wrecked in this map. But, you know, for the purposes of testing damage, you know, I don't care if I get wrecked in this map. It's yeah, absolutely. Kind of interesting though. This is pretty solid. This is really strong, honestly. Really strong. The reason why I picked this map is it has like no fire immunes. I wouldn't say it's S tier now. I'd say it's like S minus. That's where I would personally put it. It seems to be more in line with the S minus builds on the tier list. That boss killing speed though is kind of nuts. But it's not fast enough to be S tier. It slows down a little bit more than the S tier builds do. It's got a little bit more of a slowdown. It's like closer to A tier, but I would actually say it's like really strong now. This is definitely going to be one of those hidden OPs. The fact that I can even kind of tank this with Jews with only 15 DR is pretty insane. That's just the power of the Wolf Druid, though. So yeah, this is a brand new rework of Fireclaw once again, if you guys just came in. Fireclaw got a big rework, and honestly, it's effective. This skill's actually feeling really strong now. I would say it was struggling a bit before. Yeah, I mean, let's power that up a bit. The gear swap, yeah. Really want those attack speed frames, man. Maximum. As you can see though, it clears very fast, the cows. Not quite as fast as some other builds, right? But it's very strong. It's honestly just a little bit weaker than the Fizz Fire Druid, Molten Boulder, and Brimstone Rain and 163 FCR, and that's mostly because it just has more mobility. But this build's strong though, man. This is a really strong build. It's not as strong as Nova, but you know. Very satisfying ability now. If you guys want to check it out though, we can also check it in let's do one more test on it. Let's go check it out in fortified maps, and then we're gonna call it clean on this one. It's a very clean build now, man. I love how the actual AoE is doing actual damage, you know, that's something that's been a little bit of a struggle on this particular build. We could do fortified Tomb of Zoltan Cool, I guess, here. It's no rabies. Well, I mean, not a lot of skills are like the rabies, my man. Yeah, Rabies is taking on some nerfs, but I don't know. It's got all this elective damage. They just need to make it trash. Stop playing Rabies! Yeah, that's what Senpai did to Death Sentry. Season 3 came, he's like, stop playing Death Sentry. He literally made it like F tier. Like, he made Death Sentry so useless. It did nothing. It's useful now, mostly in group scenarios, but that's about it. It's funny how that was, though. Anyway, there's Fortified Tomb of Zoltan Cool. Test Subject 5. Fire Claw Druid. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. It's a beast. Honestly, you know, just another ultra strong Druid build coming online. This skill is one of the few skills on the entire Druid that was not used, and well, now all the Druid is OP. Alright, anyway, see you guys next time for the next installment. Let's get it.